Let's jump right in, shall we? Hello, everybody. Hello, nobody. I'm sitting in the dark here today because, once again, we've got scheduled power cuts here in South Africa. So I've turned off the boss lighting just to save a bit of power. Hopefully the stream lasts a bit longer. I'm running this computer setup off of a little battery that usually lasts for about an hour. So hopefully you're cool with all of that. If not, well, I'm afraid there's not much I can do about it. The point of my life, the point of today's stream is to continue going through this list of patches, plugins. Oh, jeez, that's too bright. Let's go to dark mode, please. Continue going through this list of patches and building out a sound palette for the Cyberpunk album that I'm going to be putting together in the coming weeks. I am creating Ableton Live templates for music creators and producers, but also releasing tracks, Creative Commons music tracks for anyone who makes videos or games. Seeing as Cyberpunk is obviously such a huge game, I thought I'd give it a take. So in the coming weeks, what you can expect is a bunch of live streams every day here, 2 p.m. UTC, 9 a.m. Eastern, and I'm basically walking you through the whole process of how I create these packs, starting from scratch. So we've got a blank Ableton template today, and starting last week, I was just collecting sounds basically. So for example, going through this list of patches over here on Massive, which is one of the instruments I'll be using. It's got a lot of futuristic sounds, and just selecting which ones are valid for this particular project and making notes of them here in the the patches document. So far you can see I've got like this group over here, and there shouldn't be much more to it, to be honest. All you really need for any track to work is a maximum of 5 rolls at any given time. For example, rhythm, bass, harmony, melody, and some kind of texture. So between the ones that I've found over here, I think that covers a lot of the bases. The approach I'll be taking on this project is to avoid thinking musically. I know that sounds weird, but to use the patches themselves, the actual sound, the sound patches themselves. For example, this one's called data transmissions, and starting with that as a type of starting point for each track, rather than thinking I want this track to be in A minor and then go to a D minor. I'm going to be thinking more like I want this track to have an aggressive metallic start and then move into a very high-pitched string sound. So that's the shifting thinking. That's a different hat I'm putting on. I like to push my boundaries, so that's kind of what we're doing this time. And then at the end of it all, I release a music template pack to you, usually about 10 tracks or packs. I release that into the public domain, basically, and onto Spotify and all of that. I've been doing this since 2019. So if that all sounds good and you like the vibe of, Ableton Live and live streaming with music production, you're welcome to sub on YouTube. You can also sign up on Patreon, which is $6 a month, and you get access to all of the packs, all of the templates, the project files with Ableton. You can edit them, use them however you like, use them to learn how to produce, or other options. You can sign up as a free member and just get an email every time I release a new pack and stuff like that. I also signed up with Ko-Fi today, so if you're a Ko-Fi user, you'll notice in the description of all the videos going forward, there'll be another place to support my work. So all of that aside, let's continue, and this is kind of going to be a fun stream because it's just we're just finding sounds basically. Once I'm done with this finding sounds part, I'm going to start to actually put together tracks based on the reference, which is Cyberpunk 2077, the game soundtrack, and I'll go through those one by one, basically create sound-alikes for each of those tracks, which are copyright-free, non-infringing, similar-sounding music tracks, which you can use for your own Cyberpunk-themed games or whatever. Alright, so hopefully that sums it all up. Let's start with, let's say, 5 instances of Massive, where we have those 5 let's say 4 instances of Massive and 1 drum rack. That'll be a good starting point for this whole project. So we're going to just duplicate out a couple of Massives here and load up different sounds or sound rolls for each one of them. Cool. I'm going to call this one over here bass, because in every track there's going to be a bass. I'm going to call this one harmony, I'm going to call this one melody, and I'm going to call this one texture. And that will be enough for that. We can always augment them with multiple layers, but really what we're trying to do here is just set a broad strokes introduction to the whole process. I also aim to do as much live guitar as possible on this project, so look out for that. And then these drum racks over here, perhaps we could have a group of them. Yeah, let's group the drum racks, because I have a feeling we're going to want multiple options. What I noticed from last month's production was that I didn't do enough of this, basically. But you're going to want a clear direction to go in, and the templates set up ahead of time so that you're not constantly looking for new patches throughout the entire duration of the project's composition. You want them to be generally set up ahead of time. So this is how we're going to do it. We've got 5 roles. We've got bass, harmony, melody, texture, and drums. Let's go ahead by starting to assign some of the pre-selected patches. For example, this one over here, massive crayon. Let's assign. And Ableton's just crashed for some reason, no idea. That sucks. Let's try again. I think it's because I had like too much going on, too much Ableton stuff going on. Right. Yeah, just overcoming hurdles to show up for you guys once again today, as I've been doing pretty much every day for the last 3-4 months. Showing up here for 2 p.m. UTC and walking you through music creation, having a bunch of fun, but mainly just working in public. That's the ethos here, is just work in public, show people what you do. You're not bluffing, you're not making promises, you're just actually delivering the knowledge to those who see value in it. That's what we're trying to do here. Cool. Ableton is loading, and it's going to take a minute. If you want, I can, in the meantime, just take you through this patch spreadsheet here. Period patches are anything that's kind of dated or has a specific sound. So, for example, the dead mouse sound. If you're looking for the music from the 2010s, you're going to find it with this kind of patch. Oriental, sorry, not Orientic, 80s, whatever. These are like some tags. Action and tense. This is another very popular type of sound. Horror, dance, vocal, ambient, rock and pop, exotic, and sci-fi, which includes cyberpunk. Okay. Right, so it looks like we might be maxing out with some of our intended massive patches, but let's just see how far we can get. Right, it was called crayon, so I'm looking now for crayon. It doesn't allow you to search by, oops, not that one. Crayon, cool, I'm just going to save that. And let's try check out what that sounds like. Yeah, it's quite nice. Yeah, that will do well for a cyberpunk theme, so. Cool. So all of these were pre-selected by me last week. Let's get on to harmony. We need a harmony instrument here. Now, I don't have anything specifically harmony related, but I'm going to be constantly referring to this section over here of the spreadsheet throughout this project, because you can't use the same bass for 10 different tracks. It's just going to sound like 10 of the same. So I've got multiple basses. For example, there's an acid house bass and a regular bass. So you don't want to be loading up all of the basses on like one channel so you can flick through them, because then you're going to be your whole project's going to be populated with a bunch of stuff that you're not using half the time, and that really affects performance. So rather just make a note of it and say, for this track, for track 1 use this bass, for track 2 use this bass, and that way you don't have to load them both up on every track. You can just select which type of sound you're going for per track. What is next? Glassy synth lead, no Strings might be the equivalent of harmony, so let's go with that. I'm going to just add strings from Dark and Fragile. That's the name of this patch is actually called Believe in Harmony. It doesn't sound very good. Let's go to Dark and Fragile, which is going to be there. String sound. That's a decent harmony sound. Yeah, you can use it low, it'll sound okay. Yeah, that's very nice, dark and brooding. And then up high, glassy, but okay. Enough of a tension building device up high, so that's fine. We've got the strings in there for harmony. Melody, let's go over to the one I selected here, which was Glassy Synth Lead, and it's called Crystal Vachet. Crystal Vache, whatever Vache means. Maybe it means vase, I don't know. This should sound quite... that also works well high. Futuristic. A little bit oriental, actually. We're going to use that for an oriental sound. There's at least one of these tracks is going to be set in Chinatown, and so I'm looking forward to dipping into that. I did a whole Chinese sounding album. I mean, like an Eastern sounding album is one of my previous releases. It's called Chinese Valentine. You can check it out on my YouTube channel or Spotify. And what are we doing? We are looking for the lead patch called Glassy Synth Lead, which is also oriental. So we might need something different there. I don't think that's going to be appropriate for most of these tracks. Let's keep on looking now just for something, just a lead sound. So I'm going to filter by lead. This should, you know, if we want melodies in these pieces, this should help it out a bit. No idea where to start. I mean, there are hundreds of lead patches alone. Let's just start at the bottom. Not really. Let's go down one. Like a hammer, like the hammer of Thor. That's what the stream is today. What I'm doing is just going through patches and figuring out what is appropriate for a cyberpunk sound. Definitely not. No, too creepy. Not really appropriate. That's too quirky, but nice sound. How does it sound? Low. It's got a fifth harmony on it, so I don't want that. Sawtooth monosynths are very common. Yeah, this could work. One thing I did notice when I was listening to the reference tracks, the Cyberpunk 2077 reference tracks, soundtracks, was that a lot of the music is influenced by dubstep and trance. Trance as in Armin van Buuren, ATB, even going back to the 90s. So, this one is called Trance Time. It resonates well, it's very sharp, it's very clear, it works well as a melody instrument, so I'm going to keep it in. Trance Time is the name of one of our new melody instruments, massive, and it's called Trance Time. And this is definitely a lead instrument or a lead synth. Yeah, let's just call it lead, that's fine. Okay, so let's call that our current standard lead instrument. We'll improvise over that as we go, saving this project again because it's probably about to crash. Let's just try our best. Okay, texture. Texture is very much atonal. It's not something that you could sing along to. So I'm going to look for... Yeah, Circuit Disruptor was the first one that struck me as a strong candidate for a cyberpunk sound, and that is Circuit Disrupt over here. Nope, wrong patch. Here we go. That thing here. So this is texture. This is what you might want to have overlaying, for example, a metal sequence or a dubstep sequence. It's erratic. Even I don't know what's going to happen when I push a key. It is actually rhythmic. It's good for certain moments, and we'll have a few different options for each texture as we go. Cool. That sort of is a good starting point as a default template, and I can build on that and fan out as we go. Next thing we've got to do is drums. Now drums, I'm not going to do it massive, because there's so many good drum samples already available through Ableton. In fact, it's one thing that Ableton does rather well is 808s, 909s, and vintage drum machines, that kind of thing. Besides that, with these projects that I make, I don't release Ableton files with dependencies, which means that anyone with a copy of Ableton 11 can open them without any missing samples or instruments. And I think that's a major benefit to those who are new to the game or new to production. So that's kind of my jam here, is making it really easy to use these templates. If that's something that you can respect and like, then yeah, do share the channel, do share the love, and go ahead and download some of the stuff in the free pack, which is linked in the description. What I'm trying to do now is find the drum sounds that I can use as standard go-tos for different Cyberpunk themed pieces that I'm going to be writing over the next couple of weeks, 10 of them in total at least. And so far I've gone through all of these kits over here. You can't see them because I'm blocking them, but all of these kits over here, I've gone through them and found a selection of these samples over here, which would be nice to use as as just sort of standard drum samples for this track. So you can hear already we've got this very trap influence. This is a low 808 sound. It's tuned. And what you'll notice, actually, I've made this patch to be played as if it is a melodic instrument. So each one of these drum hits is tunable. Each one of these 808s is tunable. So you'll see here chain selector. Let's open up the chain and I'll show you what I mean. We've got loads and loads of these different trap drums, and they should be able to be played as if it's an instrument. Let's just go over to the here we go, chain selected on what this is. So this one, no. Oh yeah, these are all the different drum kits, drum samples, sorry. Okay, we've got everything we need here in terms of 808s. You can hear. So as I'm scrolling around this area over here, I'm using my keyboard to just progress through them. You can hear how it. We've got like literally over 100 different possible kick sounds here, and I think that should suffice for the project. So for example, in project A, I could select this as the kick, and in project B I could zip over here and change it to one of these other ones. Okay, so that time will come where we get into the details there. And on top of that, we've got this similar effect for the kicks. We've got a selection of what looks like about 60 different kicks here, maybe 50, and that's got its own chain selector too. So we've got a lot of options, is what I'm saying. We've got a lot of options with regards to how we want to, which kick we want to select. We don't really have to look very far. Only downside to this is that layering multiple kicks at the same time is going to be an issue. Let's change the these here are, this is quite useful. What I'm doing now is I'm MIDI mapping all of this drum kit sounds to these knobs over here, so that I can quite easily cycle through them and select different sounds. So this is all part of setup and pre-set up for this track, for this template, this Cyberpunk theme template. These are all kicks. These should be snares. I don't know why that's not selecting. There we go, cool. So we've got the third one over here for different hits. When you, when you access this template through my Patreon page, you'll get this entire easy-to-use setup over here. So you can literally just select one by turning a knob, which is great. There's hundreds of pre-selecteds. They're all quite small file sizes, so you don't have to worry about clogging up your machine. This is great. It's fun, that's what we're doing today. We're having a bit of fun. If you're wondering why the lights are out, it's because in South Africa we get scheduled power cuts, and today is one of those days. Most days, actually. So yeah, I turned the background lights off, and just getting on with some projects set up here. I'm having a bit of fun selecting different samples for the Cyberpunk theme. I'm not going to be getting into the composition too hastily. I think part of my problem is that I don't do enough of this